Bailey gets a job at the summer. That's not how words string together. Hi everyone, my name is Brittany from Brittany Loves Reading, and today I'm coming to you with my November Timmy's TBR. How is it already November? I don't know how that's happened. For the month of November, I'm participating in 2 readathons. The first one is Bucket List-a-thon, which is hosted by Danny Dabbles, and I will link both Danny and Rainey down below because that is who is hosting the other readathon, because I am also a co-host for the Get a Clue readathon, which is hosted by Rainy Blue Reads. I am a co-host for Team Scarlett, so I will be hopefully helping Team Scarlett win, get a clue, and solve a murder in the month of November. So realistically, I don't really know what I'm going to have to read because with Get a Clue, we get a new prompt every few days. So will any of these books work for that? I don't know. Fingers crossed, I hope so, but we're just going to play Timmy's, and hopefully I will fit as many of these into that readathon as humanly possible. So if you haven't heard of either of those readathons, definitely go check out information down below, and there will be lots of sprints, lots of fun, and I'm excited to participate in both. And they really work well to kind of work together and overlap reads for both readathons. But before we jump into our first roll for Timmy's TBR, let's look back at the books that I need to roll over from last month. I'll be rolling over 4 books from the month before, and I have them right here. They are The God's Return, How to Fake It in Hollywood, Sweet Nothings, and Mistakes Were Made. I wanted to get to these, I really did, and I just ran out of time. So we're already starting with 4 books on the TBR, and we haven't rolled any rolls yet, so that's, you know, a thing. Let's jump into the first roll of Timmy's TBR. Roll number 1 is a 6. A series spinner wheel space. Okay, Timmy's TBR has chosen to not let me pick the first book. And for this month, realistically, that's okay because I don't know what I'm going to be reading for the Get a Clue readathon. So maybe this random book Timmy's TBR will pick will work perfectly with one of the clue prompts. We'll see. So let's jump to my spinner wheel and see what it gives me. So we have spun the series spinner wheel, and it has given me Ravenspire, which is a series by CJ Redwine. And the next book in that series is The Traitor's Prince, which I do not have a copy of at the time of filming this. However, I have ordered one, so I will have it to read. I own the first 2 books, so I want to keep collecting the series, so that's completely fine. This is a series of fairy tale retellings, which I love, and I'm perfectly happy to continue with this month. The first book in the series is a Snow White retelling. The second book in the series is a Rumpelstiltskin retelling, and this is a Prince and the Pauper retelling. You could read this series as standalones. Every once in a while, you will see a previous character make an appearance with a cameo in some of the future books, but in general, they could be read as standalones. And since I don't have the physical copy of this book, I don't have the synopsis in front of me to tell you any more about it than that it's a Prince and the Pauper retelling. So let's jump into roll number 2. Roll number 2 is another 6. A roll-up wreck. So for roll number 2, I got roll-up wreck. I'm actually really excited to land on this space. When I was making the Timmy's TBR board, I did a live show where I got suggestions for prompts and book suggestions from anyone who rolled up to that live show. Any book recommended to me during that live show went into this jar, and that's what I'm using for roll-up wreck. So I have no idea what this book is going to be, and I may know nothing about this book because there were a lot of books that went in here that I had never heard of before. So let's see what we get. Okay. Oh, I've got 2. Oh, and 1 fell out. Should we go with the one that's in my hand or the one that fell on the floor? I think we should go with the one that fell on the floor because I feel like it's just like jumping out. It wants to be read. So let's go with that one. Okay. So I got it right here. Let's open it. Oh, Bree is going to be so excited. So I'm going to be reading Ashford Parker Doesn't Fail. And again, this was recommended to me by 4 Paws in a Books, which is Bree. Bree is going to be very happy that I'm continuing this series. This is the second book in the Bright Falls series, which the third book is just coming out in November. So this is perfect timing for me to read this. I can see why it jumped out of the jar. It knew I needed to catch up because Iris Kelly is coming out this month and I need to read Astrid first. The first book is Delilah Green Doesn't Care. Again, this one is Astrid Parker Doesn't Fail. And in this book, we follow Delilah's stepsister, Astrid. We meet Astrid in the first book. And I will say Astrid was not my favorite character in the first book. I didn't really like Astrid. So I'm a little hesitant to continue into this book, but I've heard really great things. So maybe Astrid has a lot of growing to do and I get to witness it in this book. I'm not mad about this being on the TBR though. Roll number 3 is an 11. A Timbit space. Little in the title. So for our third roll, I got a Timbit space with the prompt of little in the title because Timbits are small, they're donut holes. So basically, you know, I need to find a book with the word little in the title. And there's a book that I've been wanting to read, so this wasn't too hard to fill. I'm going to be reading Pretty Little Wife by Darby Kane. This book, I love the tagline of this book. It says, "Shouldn't a dead husband stay dead?" And if nothing else sells you on this book, that really should. But this follows Lila. Lila lives in a college town and now a college girl has gone missing. Shortly after, her husband Aaron goes missing as well. And people are treating these as isolated incidents until they realize there is actually a string of missing people. And they start to kind of look into what is going on. Are they connected? What is happening? And shouldn't a dead husband stay dead? Roll number 4 is a 5, a coffee space, a net galliarch. Well, I've got a lot of those to do. The next prompt I got was a coffee space with net galliarch, which is perfect because I always have net galliarchs I should have gotten to or need to get to. So Timmy's TBR is definitely helping me out with that. For this one, I'm going to be reading Betting on You by Lynn Painter. This comes out in November, so I wanted to read it before it came out anyway because I'm trying to stay caught up on the arcs that I currently have and then like play catch up on the ones that I didn't get done in time. Goals. We'll see how it goes. But this one is coming out in November. I forget the date offhand, so I will put it somewhere here on the screen of the day this actually comes out, but it comes out sometime in November. Bailey gets a job for the summer at the local water park and shortly finds out that Charlie works there too. They met shortly a year or so before and it didn't go necessarily well and they kind of have a little bit of a rivalry going on. During the summer, they start kind of watching their coworkers, watching the guests because they're just sitting around the water park and they see a couple of guests that are consistently flirting with each other and they decide to start betting on if these people will get together or not. And it starts a slew of bets, and I think eventually these two kind of rivals end up being lovers in Bailey and Charlie. This is a YA contemporary, and I will say YA contemporary and me are starting to drift apart, but I do have the arc of this, and the synopsis sounded kind of cute that I wanted to pick it up and give it a try. Roll number 5 is a 5. A donut space, Maple Dip, a book set in Canada. Timmy's TBR did me a big solid with this prompt, and that is a donut space, and we got Maple Dip, book set in Canada. There is a book I just hauled that I was planning on reading in November anyway. I'm going to be doing a buddy read for it, so I needed to get it on this TBR anyway. And when this first came up, I was like, oh no, a book set in Canada. I can't think of anything that I want to read that is set in Canada. And then it hit me that this book is. And that book is Time to Shine by Rachel Reed. This is a queer hockey romance. I was so excited to pick this up and I'm so excited to read it. And it's set in Calgary, which is in Canada. So perfect. This follows both Landon and Casey. Landon has been in the Calgary farm team for a while. They don't call them the Calgary Flames. They just call them like the Calgary Pro team on the back of this book. So I'm just going to say the Calgary Flames, but that's not what they say on the back of the book because I'm guessing they weren't allowed to call them the Calgary Flames, but that's what we're going with. Anyway, Landon has been called up from the farm team to be the backup goalie, which basically just means he's riding the bench, but he's there. He's excited. He's excited to get his opportunity. He gets there and he has to room with the superstar player of the team, who is Casey. They start rooming and they start getting closer and closer and closer, and a romance happens. And I'm excited to read some hockey romances as it goes into winter here. And a queer hockey romance, does it get any better than that? I don't see how it could. So this getting on the TBR is absolutely perfect. And Timmy's TBR knew I needed a book set in Canada to come up, and I didn't even know it when it came up, but I'm glad that it did. And this is going to be our last roll number 6, which is a doubles Timmy's TBR Rude. And that's a mood read. So we have some good news and some bad news with this last roll. The good news is it's the last roll. We made it to the end of the board. The bad news is we made it with a doubles. So if I hit a doubles, I need to do the prompt twice. The last prompt on the board is a mood read, so it's not too bad that I have to put 2 mood reads on this TBR, but it still adds a book to the TBR. The first book that I'm going to use as a mood read is going to be another hockey romance because I just said I want to read the hockey romance. So I'm going to be reading Icebreaker by Hannah Grace. So this is a college hockey romance that follows Anastasia and Nate. Anastasia is on her school's figure skating team, and Nate is the star hockey player for their hockey team. And there's now been a mix-up with the facilities, and the figure skating team and the ice hockey team has to share the ice for practices. And that does not go super well at first, but I think it ends pretty well because I've heard this book is extremely spicy. I've heard this is all the chili peppers. So I know this book doesn't have the best reviews. I feel like this is one of those books that you either loved it or you hated it, and there's very few people in the middle. But I am hoping that I am going to be one of the people who love it, and I will be reading it in November. The last book going on this TBR and my last mood read is going to be Midnight is the Darkest Hour by Ashley Winstead. This is the B&K book club for this month. If you know, you know. I usually put the B&K book club on as the mood read if it doesn't fit any of the prompts because I helped pick the book, so obviously I want to read it. I pre-ordered this book. I'm very excited to be getting to it, and I'm really excited to read it with all of you and Kelsey in the month of November. If you don't know what the B&K book club is, it's a book club I run with my friend Kelsey over on Discord. The link to join is down below. And we read one book every month. We do it on sprints with all of you, and we have a great time discussing it in the Discord and just having a good time reading a book. This is our November pick. I don't know how I feel about this book. I'm excited to read it, but Ashley Winstead and I have a checkered past. I loved In My Dreams I Hold the Knife. The Last Housewife did not hit for me. So this is going to be the redeeming book to see if I like Ashley Winstead's thrillers or if In My Dream I Hold the Knife was just a one-off because it was dark academia. So this book sounds like it has like some ritual killings going on, and that is very intriguing. It sounds a bit dark, and it kind of centers around some religion as well. So I don't really know where this book is going, but it follows Ruth and Everett. So when a skull is found with symbols all around it in the woods, the town goes into an uproar because they think a myth has come to life. And a vampire they know as the Low Man is coming into sinners' homes at night and stealing them and killing them. It is up to Ruth and Everett to prove that this is not the case and that there might be a more normal killer on the loose than a vampire or a myth. I think this is going to be really interesting. I don't really know exactly where we're going to go with this, but it sounds interesting. But like I said, Ashley Winstead and I, we've gone both ways. I've loved it and I've not loved it. So I'm hoping that I love this. But either way, I'm excited to read it with everyone together. So here is the stack along with Astrid Parker Doesn't Fail, Trader's Prince, and Betting on You. So we have 7 books on this month's TBR. However, we also have all our rollovers, which adds a little bit to the stack and puts us at 11 books for this month. Doable if I can get these into Clue. Fingers crossed I can get at least some of them into Clue. I know some of them work for bucket list-a-thon, so that's fine, but some of these have to work for Clue. They really do. I can't believe there's only one more Timmy's TBR in this year. That's crazy. I just can't believe it. Anyway, thank you so much for watching. What is something that you're hoping to read in the month of November? Please let me know down below. If you haven't joined Get a Clue yet, might I suggest joining Team Scarlett? We are going to have so much fun. And thank you so much for watching. Please like, comment, and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.